Hi everyone, welcome back to our next reading of The One and Only Ruby. We are starting today on page 87 and it is called Where There's Smoke. A few days later, I learned about another scent to watch out for: smoke. It was just a little hint on the breeze, but as soon as I caught my first whiff, I knew it was bad. I knew to be afraid. How could that be even? How could I have known about something I'd never even run into before? Grandmama said it was elephant wisdom, passed down through the generations. She told me that when she was my age, fires hardly ever happened. Now, she said, with the world so dry and the sun so hot, she was certain this wouldn't be the last smoke I smelled. Should we run? I asked her, and she shook her head. No, Naya, that smoke is far, far away. It's not a danger to us. But how will I know if it is? I asked, tugging on her tail. You'll know, was all she said. After a few weeks, I noticed a worried feeling hanging over the herd like a swarm of gnats. I didn't understand what it all meant, but I knew that everyone was hungry and thirsty. Even Mama's milk wasn't always there for me, no matter how much she wanted it to be. Another drought had hit the land, Mama said. Grandmama's long-used trails, the ones that linked waterhole to waterhole, couldn't be counted on. From the other elephants, I learned that there are different kinds of thirst. There's, I've been playing hard and I could use a slurp of water. There's, I really, really need to drink something now. There's, I feel weak. I'm scared. Please, please find me something, anything, even a drop will do. That last one is the kind of thirst that comes when the rains do not. Twice, searching for water and food, Grandmama led us into places we were not supposed to go. We only realized they were bad places when the humans began to yell. It's hard for us to tell where farms begin and wild lands end. A herd can do a whole lot of damage if it wanders through farmland and eats crops. But it's not our fault. It's just the way we are. We have big tummies and we need to fill them. The humans made hard, hurting noises that ripped the air, and we stampeded to safety. Hunting rifles, Mama explained later as I trembled under her belly. The next time I met up with humans, we were even closer to some farms. Mama and I had been straggling behind the herd more and more. We were both weak, and keeping up is already tough when you're just a tiny calf. The herd tried to wait patiently, and Grandmama did her best to slow the pace, but she was responsible for everyone, not just us. Even Gachinga switched to the back of a faster elephant, one of my younger aunts, when his mother insisted he leave me behind. I understand, I told him. Don't worry. We'll catch up before you know it. But I missed our little band, and it was hard not to feel hurt, even though I knew he was just obeying his mother, who was trying to keep him safe and well fed. Somehow, later that morning, the herd moved far enough ahead of us that we lost sight of them completely. We'll be fine, little one, Mama said, but I could hear something new and nervous in her voice. We followed the herd's trail as well as we could, but when we caught that surprising scent of mud and water, Mama hesitated. Even though the smell of humans was strong, she just couldn't pass up the possibility of finding water. Sure enough, we came upon a small mud hole, not much bigger than me, but beautiful to our eyes. I ran toward it so fast that I slid down the steep bank straight to the muddy bottom. The water wasn't very deep, and at least it was wet, but the mud was thick, and it sucked me down until I was belly deep. I screamed. I was so scared. Mama tried hard to reach me with her trunk, but I was just too far away. When we heard the humans running toward us, we knew the end was near. The humans gathered around the hole. There were many of them, and they made sounds with their mouths. I'd never heard humans speak before. The noises they made were strange. Nicer than hyena squeals, but not nearly as lovely as bird song. Mama paced back and forth, while the humans lowered thick ropes and tied them around my tummy. I should have been terrified. I hadn't forgotten what Grandmama had said about humans in danger. But something told me I was going to be all right. Don't worry, Mama, I called. They're helping me. I was right. After an hour of pushing and pulling and grunting and struggling, the humans yanked me out of that hole. I was safe, scared and shivering, but safe. They even led us back toward our herd. I'll never forget their kindness, even in a zillion years. Those were good humans. My first, but not my last. Good humans, Uncle Ivan repeated the words slowly, like he was tasting them for the first time. I've met a few of them myself. Uncle Bob groaned, but after a moment he shrugged. Okay, I hate to admit it, Ivan, but you're right. Take Julia and her mom and dad. They're not too shabby as humans go. On the other hand, I said, and Uncle Ivan and Aunt Kenyani and Uncle Bob all sat up straight, afraid of what was coming next. On the other hand, Uncle Bob asked. On the other hand, I said softly, there were the bones. We came across the bones under a small acacia tree. It was a few days after Mama and I had caught up to the herd at last. We were still stragglers at the end of the line, but at least we were back where we belonged. The bones lay in a pile with a few scattered here and there, but I didn't know what they were. Even after Reth whispered, "Uh-oh, I don't like the look of those." Even after the whole herd gathered quietly around the pile. "What are they, Mama?" I asked. "Those are elephant bones, Naya. When we see those, we stop whatever we are doing," she said. "We see a life that has happened, and we honor it. We feel the wind and the sun on our backs, and we are glad and grateful to be alive." In a way, they were beautiful, the bones, glowing in the harsh sun, curling and twisting, some thick as a small tree trunk, some thin as a twig. Grandmama went first while the rest of us watched. It was eerily quiet, as if the whole savannah was holding its breath. I'd seen Grandmama pick a single blade of grass with her heavy trunk. I'd seen her pluck a bug off a leaf, unhurt, and let him fly off into the clouds. But the way she touched those bones was gentler still. The first bone was long and smooth. She ran the tip of her trunk the length of it, learning the scent, knowing it. Some of the older ants followed Grandmama's lead. They moved close to the pile, breathing, touching, considering. Nobody spoke. When Mama reached out her trunk to touch the bones, I rushed to join her. I almost stepped on a thin bone, and one of the ants yanked me back with her trunk. "Foolish calf," she snapped, and behind me I heard Reth snicker. I chose to ignore him. "Gently," Mama said as I extended my trunk. I could just barely reach a small, curved bone. It lay on the dirt like a tiny new moon that had lost its way. I inhaled, careful not to breathe too hard, because what if I sneezed after already almost squishing a bone? I felt other pieces. I saw how they could weave together to be something more, something that could move and grow and cup a beating heart. "Mama," I said. "Yes, Naya." "Where are her tusks?" Mama and Grandma looked at each other. "We may never know," Mama answered at last. "I don't understand," I said. Soon enough, I would. 2 days later, we fell behind again, Mama and me, and that's when it happened. One shot, like a crack of thunder. A rock split in two, like a heart breaking. After Mama died, I lay by her side in the blistering sun. I would stay, I decided, until our bones turned white together. As I lay there, out of nowhere, 2 young bull elephants darted from a clump of trees, galloping toward me. "Up, little one," the larger one urged, nudging me with his trunk. "You've got to hurry. They're coming for her tusks." The tusks? Her tusks? I didn't move. "Now," the smaller one cried as another shot rang out. They both pushed me hard with their tusks. "Now, if you want to live," the smaller one yelled again. And I suppose some part of me did, because at last I stood and followed them to safety in the trees. We waited silently while the poachers did what they'd come to do. The bulls made sure I couldn't see what was happening, but I didn't need my eyes to know. For another day, those 2 bulls, I never did find out their names, tried to look out for me, but they were young and they didn't know the first thing about caring for a baby. They had no milk to give me, of course, no way to really help. Still, they tried. They sheltered me from the worst of the heat. They told me wild stories about the trouble they'd gotten into. There was a lot to tell. They promised me I would be all right. How kind they were, those 2. I was so sad, so scared, and they kept me from giving up completely. I just wish I'd had the chance to thank them. The next morning, it swooped from the sky. It wasn't a bird, I knew that much. A huge insect, maybe, one with big, stiff wings. It made a thud-thud-thud sound, like a slow stampede. The bulls looked at each other, and I saw their terror. "Naya," said the larger one, "we have to run." But I began just as the giant bug dropped close, churning up clouds of dust. The bulls were already running. One went right, one went left. I didn't know which to follow, and as the insect dipped even closer, I couldn't move. I felt like a tree rooted to the ground. Fear can make you panic, but sometimes it floods your body like a cobra venom and leaves you frozen. I watched helpless as the insect settled on the ground. But you can see there, it is not an insect. Can you see what that is? That is a helicopter. The insect Just a few elephant widths away, there it was, with wings like giant flat thorns. Its body was mango-shaped and its tail didn't move. It hummed to itself and the ground vibrated beneath my feet. I shivered at the memory, and oh, it smelled so awful. The insect had something inside it moving quickly. 3 humans leapt out of its stomach. They were heading toward me. I jerked my head left, right. I watched as one of the humans raised a stick. It was black and long, glinting in the sun, and she pointed it directly at me. A sharp noise came, then an echo, and a burning feeling in my left flank. It wasn't too bad, really, so I tried to move, but with each step my feet grew heavier, heavier, until the ground seemed to call to me. Naya, it sang, just rest for a moment. Just for a moment. Just for... So she was drugged, and then she fell. When I woke, my body felt heavy as a mountain. My legs were bound. I couldn't move. I could barely open my eyes. Somehow the humans had loaded me into the insect's belly. With the 4 of us squeezed inside, it headed toward the clouds. Was it really possible? Could I, a baby elephant, be flying through the air like a bird? I felt something on my side. It was one of the humans patting me gently. I think he was saying things too, but I couldn't hear over the throbbing noise of the insect. We landed a short time later with a big old thump. The insect fell silent, and the humans jumped out. Through my half-opened eyes, I caught a glimpse of dirt and grass and more humans, but where was I? Was I anywhere near my herd, my old life? Could I find them again? Could I fight my way to freedom? I remembered the bulls I'd seen play fighting. I was tiny compared to them, and I had no tusks. I tried to trumpet. I sounded like a sad little toad. I thought of Mama. What was the point in fighting anyway? I closed my eyes and tried not to remember Mama's warm body lying next to mine as the life slowly vanished from her. More humans appeared, and there was much talking and hand-waving. Some joined me inside the insect. Others waited nearby. They pushed, they pulled, they made loud, angry noises. Sure enough, they began to move me out of the insect onto a new place, another different creature. This one was grumbly and stinky. Its back was flat, and it had 4 round feet. I didn't even try to fight. My legs were tied, my body was weak, and there was nowhere to go. So I went on another strange ride in what turned out to be called a truck. At least this was on solid ground, something I understood. 4 foul-smelling humans sat next to me. I could smell the savannah, too, dusty and familiar. I could not smell my herd. But I did smell elephants. The longer we moved, the more I began to sense other elephants nearby. Where, I couldn't be sure, but they were close. When we finally stopped, the place reeked of humans, but it also smelled like me, like baby elephants, lots and lots of them. Again, there was much chattering from the humans. After a while, they pushed me down a small metal ramp to the ground. I was lying on my side. Carefully, they cut the ties on my front and rear legs. They made calming noises as I tried to stand. I was still a little woozy, so 2 of the humans helped me stand. I wobbled like I had the day I was born, but I was upright at least. I took one step, then another. Around me, the humans made soothing sounds and showed their teeth. Later, I would learn that's called smiling. Later, I would learn many important things. But where were the babies I'd smelled, and why were their scents happy and calm while I was trembling and terrified? When a bunch of the humans herded me into a large wooden cage, I didn't resist much, though I did attempt a couple of lame charges to scare them off. It didn't work. They just showed me their teeth and kept pushing. The cage was made of pieces of wood, one stacked on another. It had a wide door, and the ceiling was high, higher even than Grandmama. Wood was everywhere. It was like being caught in a stand of trees without any leaves. There was hay underfoot, though, clean and sweet-smelling, and fresh water at last. I looked up to see a tall, thin human standing in the doorway. He was wearing loose coverings over his skin, like the other humans, and a silly round thing on top of his head. He smiled, and then he made the most wonderful noise, like water bubbling up from deep underground. That was the first time I heard Jabari laugh. Right, we're going to stop there for today. I will see you in our next reading of The One and Only Ruby.